Hey, what's up guys, welcome back, and today we're going to do another What's on My iPhone video. So I haven't done one of these in a while, and quite a bit has changed, including the phone itself. So this is a space gray 64 gig iPhone 10 with a Spigen thin fit case. Now I have done a review on the Spigen thin fit case. It was for the 6S, but it's essentially the same case. It has the same minimalist design, and it's even got the same cutout for the magnetic plate in the back of it. I still really like it. So I'll try to keep this fairly short, but I do want to cover everything, so let's get right into it. Starting off with all the widgets I have over here, I do have the battery widget up at the top, so I can see my Apple Watch battery and my Beats Solo 3's battery. Then I have the Google Assistant up top here. I do use the Google Assistant, but it's not as natural as using Siri, even though it's a lot better. Because it's not built in, it's still kind of hard to use. Then there's Fantastical. Fantastical is amazing. I'll do a review on Fantastical shortly, but the natural language recognition, I don't know why that's so hard to say, is really great. Like, it makes it so I don't want to use any other calendar apps, and it happens to have a really nice widget up here. We have Focus, which is an app I have started using recently. I don't remember what the method's called, but it's like you work for so long, take a break. Work for so long, take a break, and this just kind of keeps time for you, basically. I really like it. It seems like it works for whatever that's worth, or it's just psychological, but either way, I like the app. And then we have the Waterminder app, or this is the current hydration widget. So you can basically tap one of these, and it'll add to your daily hydration, and you can see what you're at. So that's kind of useful. We have the Subcount app, which again is only there if you're egotistical like me, but it does work really well still. Below that, there's the Discover Card widget, which shows you your current balance and the due date for your current cycle. We have the Dark Sky app, which is really nice. I actually don't even have the Dark Sky app on my home screen, because this widget basically does everything the app does. Of course, you can always open the app if you want to get to more information, but between the widget and the notifications it sends you, I can't really find a reason to open the app very often, so I don't even have it on my home screen. Same with Shazam. This basically replaces the whole app for me, which is really cool. There is Countdown. As you can see, I have all of the most important days of the year listed here. We have Activities for the Apple Watch. We have the Amazon app, which is only really nice if you've ordered something, but it will show you what day it's coming and, you know, if there's any delays, which is kind of cool. There's the Directv Widget, which is really nice. Now that it works, it's super useful. If you're ever, obviously it's not showing up right now because I'm not at home, but it will connect to your DVR and you can play, pause, fast forward, all that kind of stuff right from within the widget, which is really, really cool. There's also News, ESPN, and TV, which are all pretty self-explanatory. I don't use any of them all that often, but they are there if I need them. Moving over to the main page here, I try to keep all the apps that I use the most often down at the bottom because they're easiest to reach because I have very small hands. But starting up at the top, I have 4 apps that I consider kind of one and the same. They're all Apple aggregation apps, I guess is the best way to put it. They all pull information from other sources and compile it together for you. And I really, really like that. I love all 4 of those apps. I think they do, none of them are that old. And now I'm just really glad that they're there. They work really well. I don't use any of them all that often. I use the Files app quite a bit. But, you know, I don't watch that many TV shows and movies, especially on my phone. But when I do, the TV app is really nice. It makes it a lot nicer. Same with news and health. They really do a good job at what they're supposed to do. Wow, that was a tangent. Below that we have settings, because you gotta have settings. Google Photos I try to use over Apple Photos because it has like all of my pictures that I've ever taken in it. But for things like airdropping and sharing and stuff, Apple Photos is still more useful. So you'll see that in just a minute here. We have Amazon because I have a problem. Like I buy everything on Amazon. We have Time Hop, which unfortunately doesn't support Google Photos anymore, which is like the main reason I use it, because I could see like all the pictures I'd taken on a current day. But, you know, it's still kind of cool. It pulls together all your social media. I'm sure you've seen it before. There's Evernote, which I've really made a push to start using over the new year, and it is really nice. Once you actually put in the effort to organize it the way you want it and actually use it, it's a lot nicer than using the stock Photos app. It just takes a little bit more effort. Then there's Safari and the App Store, which are pretty self-explanatory. And then there's Email, which is Email by Edison. It's a really awesome app. I was so disappointed when Mailbox shut down because I loved the simplicity of that app. But this is so much better than that ever was because it's still simple and streamlined, but it does have some other features, like it'll pull together all your packages, it'll pull together all of your receipts. It's a really good app. Below that we have Mint, which is a budgeting app, really nice app. There's Blackboard, which is what my school uses for like grades and all that stuff. My homework is really nice. Of course you can just put your homework assignments into like a reminders list or something, but this kind of sets it up so it'll put it at the specific class time, or it'll at least organize it by class, which is a lot more useful in my opinion. Then again, there's Fantastical, like I mentioned earlier. I love Fantastical. Then below that, there's 1Password, which I still love. Discover Card, because you have to get to all that. That's just my banking app. And then there's the YouTube Studio app, which is actually getting a lot better now. That has iPhone 10 support. You can add thumbnails. You can do all sorts of stuff in there that you couldn't do like a year ago, which is really nice. And then there's the basic social media apps like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat, which of course you have to have, and I still use quite a bit. Then down on the dock here we have the 4 most used apps on my phone, which is by far YouTube, and then I do use Google Search, iMessage, and Apple Music all the time. I still use Apple Music every day. I still really like it. Again, I have nothing against Spotify, but Apple Music is just, it's cheaper, and it integrates better with Apple products. So I like it, and I'm perfectly happy paying for it. Music streaming is like the best thing to come out of the last 10 years. Like, as opposed to buying individual songs, being able to stream whatever you want is just such a beautiful thing. Moving on to the second page here, we have a bunch of games up at the top. Not a bunch, but like 6, 8, can't count. I do really like iOS games, but I don't play that many of them. It's the same thing with my 3DS. I just don't end up actually opening them. There's only a couple games I actually play, but I do have these on here. There's Friendo, which is a game my brother wanted me to get. You can ask questions and answer questions, try to guess people's answers. Chess, which is pretty self-explanatory. Minecraft, because I love Minecraft. HQ Trivia, which I kind of stopped playing, but it's still entertaining. It's a different style of game. It's not your average game because it's actually live, which is really cool. There is Animal Crossing Pocket Camp, which I kind of stopped playing recently, but I do really like it. I really like the Animal Crossing series in general, and Pocket Camp's a really nice mobile addition. Sticking with the Nintendo theme, I have Mario Run, which again, I don't play an awful lot, but it is a really nice game. Bothers me that they capitalize it, though. I don't know why they gotta do that. Then there's Pokemon Go. I still do play Pokemon Go, as you can see. I really like Pokemon Go. I try to play it. I forget a lot, but I do try to remind myself to play it because it is a really good game, and I really like that it gets you outside. Then there's Bike Race, which is a game I've been playing for years now, and I really love the new duels feature. I know that's not super new, but I still really like it. As opposed to having to send out games and wait for them to come back, you can just play live, and it's really nice. It's kind of what I had always hoped Bike Race would be. Below that, we have the Apple Watch app for managing all of the things with your Apple Watch. We have podcasts, which I don't really use all that often, but I do like. Again, the Directv app, which lets you get to that remote, and it also lets you stream anything on your DVR. Well, not anything. A lot of things off your DVR or things that are live right to your phone, which is really cool. And then there's iFunny, because iFunny is great. Yeah. Below that, we have the Shop Your Way app, which is just like Sears and Kmart rewards program. We have Cash, which is really nice for sending cash back and forth between people. 500px, which I do post photos to, and I also look at photos on there. Genius kind of disappoints me because I really like the concept. It's lyrics, but it also gives you some insight into like the background of them, either from other people or sometimes even the artist themselves, which is really nice. But the app, it goes through these phases where it's really glitchy and it's basically unusable. Even on like a brand new phone like this, it can still be hard to like get to things. It just glitches out and takes forever to load. But when it works great, Genius is really awesome. Below that, there's the Xbox app, which does 2 things I really like. It lets you remotely control your Xbox, which is convenient, so I don't have to get up and find an Xbox remote if I want to use it. And it lets you reply to messages. So if someone sends me a message, I can type it out on my phone, which is a lot easier than trying to type with the on-screen keyboard. Next is Find My iPhone for when I inevitably lose my iPhone. Then there's Photos and Focus, which I mentioned earlier. There's the Wegmans app, which is really nice. If you don't know, Wegmans is a grocery store. And this lets you have online shopping lists that you can share between family members and all that, which is really cool. There is Google Photos or Google Maps and Apple Maps. I use both. I use Google Maps for like looking up businesses, like what time they close, reviews, or if I'm not driving a lot of times, I'll use Google Maps like in the passenger seat. But anytime I'm driving or navigating somewhere, I love Apple Maps because it integrates really well and the GPS looks and works really well. Then there's Snapseed, which is still my photo editing app of choice. It's got a lot more features than it did even just a couple years ago, and it still works really well. It's a Google-made photo editor, which is awesome. On the next page here, we have this little Apple folder up in the corner, which is basically all the apps, either stock apps or apps that perform services on my phone. Like I said, Shazam and Dark Sky are in here, but that I don't need to actually open the app itself. It just needs to kind of technically be on the phone, but doesn't really need to get used. They all get shoved up in there. Then we have some video streaming services like Netflix, Hulu, Amazon, and HBO. Again, I don't really use them that often, but I do like to have them on here, if nothing else, because they feed to the TV app. And then the same kind of thing for ticket buying. So we have Ticketmaster, Live Nation, StubHub, Ticketfly, and then SeatGeek. The first four I kind of have to have because I like to cross-shop for tickets, and I really like to buy tickets to live events. But SeatGeek is the only one that I actually like the design of and actually like using. SeatGeek is really nice. Then we have Steam, which I barely ever use. Strava, which I've kind of stopped using. My AT&T lets you manage your AT&T account, see your bills, stuff like that. Cam King is an app for an off-brand GoPro action camera thing that I got. It lets you control it remotely, which is kind of cool. Really Chinese and off-brand, but still kind of cool. There's eBay, which again I don't use all that often, but I like to have. Every time I delete it, I find myself needing to download it again. ESPN, which I don't use an awful lot, but it's still kind of cool to have. Planet Fitness gets you some information. I don't know. Discord, which I don't really use on here, but I love Discord as a service. Like, as opposed to, what is it? TeamSpeak and Skype. Discord is really nice. It's much better designed, and it also works a lot better. It's really nice. Speed test for when I want to see how bad my internet is. Spotify I use to control the Spotify app on my PC. So if I'm playing games or I'm just using my PC for whatever reason. iTunes is really slow on Windows, so I still use Spotify on there. Then there's the Apple Store for when I want to shop for things I can't afford. Domino's for when I want a pizza. Photomath for when I'm trying to do my math homework. Social Blade for when I want to look at channel statistics, stuff like that. And then on the last page here, I have just a couple of apps that I basically don't use, but, well, they're either apps that I don't really know what to do with or that I've just downloaded and I'm trying out. So they live in here, and I'll either delete them or find a permanent spot for them. But anyways, that just about wraps it up. So today's question of the day is, what is your most used app on your phone? Is it iMessage? Is it Spotify? Is it YouTube? What do you open the most often? I'm really curious to know. And of course, I post new videos every single Sunday, so I definitely like to see you back next week. But until then,